Welcome to Sage Audio. Today we're covering the top 9 Logic Pro X tips. But first, if you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us at sageaudio.com to receive a free mastered sample of it. How to create a drum track from anything. When making music in Logic Pro X, one of my favorite things to do is convert an audio file into a drum track. All I need to do is select the track, push Ctrl+D, and a drum trigger will convert the transients of the audio into MIDI data. This makes producing much easier, especially if you don't have a MIDI controller but you still want to create drum tracks. Instead, just tap on your desk or clap and record that in, then convert it. Let's take a listen. How to turn recording into MIDI. Similar to our last tip, we can take any melodic instrument like piano or vocals and turn the notes into MIDI data. To do this, double-click a track, enable Flex, and change it to Flex Pitch. Then click Edit and select Create MIDI Track from Flex Pitch Data. The tuned version of your vocal or instrument is now converted into MIDI, which you can make any instrument that you want. Let's take a listen.
And now I'm begging for love, and for love.
What to know about 64-bit processing. One important thing to understand about Logic Pro X is that it works in 64 bits, meaning you have a much higher ceiling for your level than you might think. You may notice when you clip your individual tracks, the indicator is yellow, but it's red on the master output. The reason being, the stereo output is the only place you can create clipping distortion, especially if your plugins are also 64-bit. It's best to avoid clipping in most cases, but no, it's not a horrible thing if your tracks go over 0 dB, so long as the master output doesn't. Let's take a listen.
And now I'm begging for love, and now I'm begging for love.
Real quick, if you want to see exclusive advanced videos, have priority response to your comments, and get some other future perks, consider joining our channel and becoming a member. Buffer size and sampling rate. Under Preferences and Audio, you can affect your buffer size, which is the amount of time in samples it takes the computer to process your audio. If we raise the sampling rate of our session, we increase the number of samples per second, reducing the time it takes per sample. So if you're finding you have too much latency, try lowering the buffer size and remember how the sampling rate affects it. Conversely, raise the buffer size if your computer is having trouble with processing. How processing threads affect CPU. If you keep getting error messages regarding your CPU, go to Preferences and Audio and increase the processing threads from Auto or its current setting to the maximum threads available. This allocates more processing power for Logic Pro X to use, which is really helpful when mixing or mastering. If you find that this doesn't solve the problem, increase the buffer size. The best Logic Pro X shortcut. This is admittedly a really simple tip, but I use it on every session, so hopefully it saves you some time. By holding the Option button and clicking on a function, you set it to Unity. So, if my track's volume has been changed, I'll use Option plus click. If I have a send I want to set to Unity, I can do that, or if I want my pan pot to go back to its first setting, it works there too. It also works on lots of plugins and all of Logic Pro's stock plugins, so use it instead of wasting your time with the dials. Let's take a listen.
And now I'm begging for love, and now I'm begging for love.
Binaural panning. If you want to avoid stereo imaging plugins when you're mixing, but you still want more of a spread than simple left-right panning, try Logic's binaural pan, which can be accessed in a track's output section. Notice how a typical pan pot is limited to a small range of the image. However, the binaural pan lets you position the signal in very specific ways. Let's take a listen.
And now I'm begging. And now I'm begging. Now I'm begging for love. For love.
Real quick, if you want to see exclusive advanced videos, have priority response to your comments, and get some other future perks, consider joining our channel and becoming a member. Quick MIDI quantization. When making a beat or maybe recording some instrumental with MIDI, being off time happens. The alternative, realigning every single note, really makes creating music a tedious chore. Instead, double-click the MIDI track, push Command+A, and then select Q to quantize the MIDI data. You can select the nearest whole note to the nearest 64th note and determine how strong the quantization is with the strength slider. Let's take a listen. Logic stock plugins. Although it's natural to feel pressured to buy this and that plugin, consider trying out Logic Pro X's stock plugins, which are some of the best stock plugins out there. The compressor and Chromoverb in particular are excellent choices that give you professional sounds and functionality. You even get emulations of Pultec, Neve, and API equalizers, which all sound great in my honest opinion. Let's take a listen to them.
And now I'm begging. Now I'm begging for love. For love. And now I'm begging. Now I'm begging for love. For love. For love.
If you have a mix that you need mastered, send it to us at sageaudio.com to receive a free mastered sample of it. Also, join and become a member for exclusive videos and content. Thank you so much for watching.